Hey and welcome to Neverwinter with Argon. In this video I'd like to show you the Cradle of the Death God. And this is unlocked when you've completed your Chult campaign, when you've fully completed it and unlocked that second area, the city of Omu. With this trial, Cradle of the Death God, it's basically a carry on after the Tomb of the Nine Gods. However, now you'll need 10 people. Now for me, this trial overall has been very successful in terms of gaining loot. For now, as it currently is, I feel that the Cradle of the Death God is one of the most profitable areas. It will drop all sorts of different companions, mounts, and all of those new premium loots fairly frequently in fact. And I find it to be a whole lot more successful than running other dungeons or trials, etc. And with that being the case, I thought I may as well go over a guide of how best to run Cradle of the Death God and what kind of mechanics you need to watch out for. Now first up, you'll all get put onto this elevator which will descend further down into the tomb. Initially you'll just fight a whole bunch of mobs, and then you'll see Acererak will appear on one side of the elevator and the walls will disappear, and you'll see it into this kind of translucent blue eerie void with these souls moving around. Anyway, what will happen then is Acererak will taunt you guys, and then the elevator will continually descend downwards, and you'll then have a skull appearing on the opposite side to Acererak himself. What will happen is that this skull will be tethered to one player, and this player needs to make sure you move to that side of the platform directly as quickly as possible to where Acererak is. So then you have the line of the skull, and the skull will slowly move towards that player, shortening its tether. Then what you need to do, another player needs to go behind the skull and DPS it down all the way to 0, and as soon as the skull's HP hits 0, the skull will launch towards the direction at which it was hit. Basically, when you hit it at 0 HP, it will propel itself away from you, launch itself away from you, and then after a short timer it will explode, or if it hits the ghost of Acererak, it will also explode. And you'll basically have to do this, I believe, a total of 4 times to successfully reduce Acerek's HP bar to 0, whereupon he will disappear. And once this happens, then you'll have to fight a few more of those groups of mobs, and just continuing on. When you fight those groups of mobs, one thing to look out for is those big troll fellas, because they really do knock you pretty far, and they could knock you off the elevator. Now fortunately, if you are knocked off the elevator, you will respawn back in the center of the elevator in a downed state, and people can pick you up then, or you can scroll. It used to be the case where if you got knocked off, then you're dead. Then we move on to the gelatinous cube phase, whereupon Acererak will basically break the mechanism which makes the elevator move slowly, and the elevator will just plummet. You have a total of, I believe, 3 minutes to successfully jam up all of the gears of the elevator, and if you fail to do so in time, you all die. So what you need to do is a gelatinous cube will spawn in the center of the elevator, and it will be tethered to a player. And this player who has the tether needs to move to one of the corners. When moved fully to the corner and the gelatinous cube has followed, that's when you kill the cube bursts, the goo will encase all the gears of the elevator, and you'll have that corner gear gunked up, and those gears will basically be jammed. So you do this a total of 4 times within that time, and you'll have successfully beat the elevator, and you'll all descend slowly down into the tomb, into the final area where the Anthropal, the large baby, will be basically trapped with these cords, and you'll have to go around the area destroying those cords. There's nothing too difficult here. However, if you're a tank, I highly recommend going to where you see the elevator descends down, because a whole group of mobs will appear there, and again it will have those kind of golems who will be able to push you really far, so make sure you block their hits and just tank those mobs so they don't interfere with the rest of the DPS who just need to kill the cords. There's nothing too particular here. unless you have particularly low DPS. If you do, then these souls will appear and you'll take more damage, etc. But most groups will generally have enough damage at this point, and you'll go into the big long cutscene that we all can't skip, and you'll get teleported into that ring around the baby, which will appear within the center. And the Anthropal then will go ahead and attack the Aggravator. There'll be all sorts of AoE attacks. The ones you have to look out for are in particular those large areas and the arrow pointing down on you. Make sure you move them away from people, as these will cause large debuff areas when they drop, and you'll basically deal a whole lot less damage while standing within them. So just make sure you move them away from your party members. Another vital thing to look out for is the large red area which will appear. This area does quite a significant amount of damage, and I highly recommend not to stand in it. Just move out of it. Generally the Aggravator will get it procced in their direction. You can usually tank it if you're beefy enough as a tank, and the rest of you guys just make sure you move the hell out of there. Another mechanic there is the hypo, where you get those arrows, the 4 arrows that point inwards to you and 1 down, and then you'll get pulsing of damage on you. Just group up and the damage will be divided amongst you, and you'll be able to survive that fairly easily. Another mechanic there is the push and pull. Now this is the most vital mechanic to get right within the trial. Not so vital anymore, but you'll see what will happen, right? The baby, you won't be able to damage it anymore. You'll get 0 markers and its HP bar will disappear. Once this happens, you need to move to the outer side of the ring. You move to the outer side of the ring, and as soon as you start feeling the pull towards the center, you need to use your W key. This is if you're looking away. This is how I do it. And just walk away against the pull, and he'll pull you towards the center. And if you don't use that W key to walk away from the center, you'll get sucked into the center and you'll just die. However, as soon as he releases you from the pull, you need to run back to the center circle. You stand right adjacent to the edge of the center and you get pushed outwards. And you again want to, while being pushed, make sure you use that W key. It can help you survive a whole lot easier. Now you can basically do this method, which I've said, on any class, right? It doesn't involve using any of your shift powers whatsoever. I like on my paladin to be able to just block with my shield. Literally it makes no difference other than reducing my speed, because without blocking my speed is actually a bit too fast to resist against the pull. But that aside, I've just been used to using my shield. But regardless, there are other methods which you can use when you have like a DPS where you have a dodge or a roll or whatever, and you can use that mechanic to basically, in an emergent situation, to get to the other side of the platform if you need to make sure he doesn't, let's say, push you off. So again, initially you're getting pulled to the center and you just want to move against it, and he's then, after he lets you go of that pull, he's going to push you outwards. So make sure you're on the inner circle. And that's it for the push and pull mechanic. However, if you do fail this and fall off the edge, you'll get teleported to the north side of the platform there in a down state, and people can pick you up, or you can scroll again. It used to be the case you were just dead. This will usually happen twice before the baby gets to 25% HP. When he drops to 25% HP, he'll again go and be untargetable, and Acererak will spawn on the north side of the platform, and this is literally just a DPS check. You have to make sure you burn him down in time before that Soulmonger's bar fills up to full. If it fills up to full, he'll just kill you all. If it doesn't, and you get him down to, I believe it's like 30% of his HP in time, then he'll basically surrender and he'll flee. And if that's the case, then you've basically beat the trial. You should have enough damage to DPS the baby down again. You might get another push and pull phase if your DPS is particularly low. And that's basically it for the trial. Overall, I found this trial to be very successful in terms of loot. Always getting like at least mount tokens, companion tokens, a scroll or whatnot. Very rarely do I obtain nothing. So hopefully this is at least helpful to some of you guys. I know there's literally so many of these guides out there in terms of push and pull and other mechanics, but I thought I may as well do one for myself, as I currently do not have anything about it on my channel at the moment. So here's for the record. Anyway, hopefully I presented this well. If I did, consider leaving the video a like, and if you're new around here, consider subscribing, and we'll see you guys around. Goodbye for now.